Breaking PSYCHles. This is episode 2, Surviving R.Kelly the After-chat. Today we have some Prince George's Community College personnel here with us to have some discussions about how they felt about the 6-part docu-series, Surviving R.Kelly. Please introduce yourselves.
My name is Reed, graduate of Florida State University. I graduated with my bachelor's degree in law and society with a concentration in criminal justice.
My name is Natalie, and I'm majoring in general studies.
My name is Marcellus Kirkland. I'm a current sophomore and a sociology major here at Prince George's Community College. I'm also a representative here on the Board of Trustees.
So we're just going to jump right into it. We're just going to go over some questions and just have a conversation about this life-changing docu-series. Question number 1. What was your perception of R.Kelly before the docu-series, during the docu-series, and after the docu-series?
My perception of R.Kelly before the docu-series. I guess you could say it was more so on the musical side. This dude could sing, he got a lot of hits, so it was more respect for his musical endeavors, really. Somehow, during the docu-series, like my whole mentality was switched and changed up completely. It's like, there's no way us being African Americans let this man get away with this for so long. It was like, there's no way. I felt kind of bad. I felt embarrassed as well. As a black man, it's like, wow, it's crazy.
My perception of R.Kelly before the docu-series, to be honest, I didn't really know much about him other than his music and what pop culture kind of showed me, like Family Guy, American Dad. They all kind of like made fun of him for certain actions. And as far as I knew, like the worst thing about him had to do with him peeing somewhere, on somebody or something, but that's really all I knew.
So my feelings are pretty much the same as Natalie's. It could be that due to my age, being that I'm 20, I wasn't alive during the time of the whole Aaliyah scandal, things of that nature. So my perception is pretty much the same as yours before the docu-series. Only knew him really for his music. I didn't listen to him too much. I only heard him at family functions, in the car when your parents are feeling nostalgic. And so I didn't really know him too much outside of the musical aspect. But like you said, it was a running joke in the black community for a really long time, as far as the whole peeing on you, we all know that joke. So other than that, I never really thought of it too much more than being a joke. So, this docu-series really helped shed light on the reality of it.
I want to know 3 emotions that you felt while watching this docu-series.
Shocked, disgusted, and a little sad.
Appalled. Dumbfounded. Bewildered.
Shocked, one, disgusted, and honestly, a little guilt. I felt a little guilty in it.
Personally speaking, watching this docu-series, I felt scared. I felt naive, and I also felt shame for not just R.Kelly and his family, but also for the black community as a whole, because it shed light onto how negligent we are to some of the important things of life, like mental health and childhood experiences. After watching all 6 episodes and getting what I would say the full story of his musical career history, take away the personal aspects and just think about him as a musician. Was trapped in the closet, because I definitely knew episodes 1 through 13 word for word.
Okay, so I feel that when we're talking about artists, it's imperative to separate the artist from the artistry. Because no human is perfect. Period. In any regard. We all humans. We all fall short. But R.Kelly musically is outstanding. He's arguably the best to ever do it when it comes to R&B. He set the ground for a lot of R&B artists that we have today. Usher, Chris Brown. This goes on and on and on and on. Neo. The list goes on for it. So when you talk about musically and just him being musically talented, being gifted and what he brought to the table for other African Americans preceding him, it's phenomenal. There was honestly none other like it at the time.
Well, I agree. Like, artistically, he is phenomenal. Like, he can sing. He definitely has talent. And his music was very groundbreaking for the African American community. But at the same time, it is important to separate the artist from the man, but you also have to, either way, you have to consider how he is as a man, because you may, support his music and you say, I'm following him for his music, but at the same time, you're feeding into his lifestyle. You're giving him the money and the power to do whatever he so pleases.
So, respectfully, Ricardo, I would have to disagree with you. Well, first, yes, the songs don't change just because we know what he's done outside of the recording studio, or you did some of it in the recording studio. We'll get to that. But, yeah, I have to disagree with you. I believe that, as an artist, I feel that a person's art is really an extension of themselves. I feel as though if you're supporting an artist, you support everything they stand for. You support not only their art, but you support who they are as a person. And as Natalie said, in a way you're directly giving them the money to do what it is they do in their personal lives by supporting them, by buying their art. So if you ask me, R.Kelly isn't even, in my head, I don't even consider him an artist, a musician, or anything of that nature anymore. In my head, he's nothing more than a monster.
Well, I disagree with you only because, okay, I like to use the analogy of anybody that has a refined talent, right? So let's say you have a math teacher, right? He's great at math. He teaches math, he's tough. He helps his kids get all A's on his tests. Come to find out this math teacher be robbing people, murdering them. You know what I'm saying? Like, so at the end of the day, if it came down to your student, and he's like, your child is having a problem in math, and he's the best in the county, best in the state, arguably best in the nation for real. Like R.Kelly, almost best in the world at math. And you find out your child is still going to, would you still let your child go to his math tutoring classes, even though he might murder somebody, he might have killed somebody, robbed somebody before. But if he's the best at what he does, I don't think it really should. It shouldn't stop our community from acknowledging what he's done globally for music.
I appreciate that. We're going to go on to the next question because this can get really heated really fast. That's a blooper. Okay. Have you personally experienced any form of abuse, or do you know someone close to you who was directly affected by abuse? I know a lot of people on social media had a lot to say in regards to these young women being aware of their choices and still making the choice to do and stay in those proximities of R.Kelly. But when you are actually a person in that situation, there are instances where you are completely unaware of the control that someone has over you. So
yes, I do know some people who are very close to me actually who have been abused, and some of them, their abuse is quite cyclical. And so, I've seen firsthand how one can feel almost trapped in that cycle. To say that, again, we've seen the tweets, we've seen all the different perspectives on Twitter, but I think to say that it's the victim's fault that they are a victim, I think that is a stance completely rooted in ignorance.
Excuse me, personally, yeah. Because the bad part about it is that you just don't know until it's too late for real. A lot of times when, especially women have this defense mechanism where they have to bury, and they have to, constrict. And over time it bears a lot of them. So when you enter into a relationship with a woman, you thinking that everything's fine and dandy, you good, and then you start to know her and you get to see things about and it's like, whoa, hold on, this is not the person I thought I was. But then she goes into what happened and why she is the way she is. It's like, wow, okay, now I get you. I understand. So yeah, I have, and it hurts because it's like, wow. Now I'm dealing with a heart that I can break. Shout out to Drake.
Nice.
I know some of my family members have been victims of abuse, but I can't say that I know somebody personally. But then again, I could just not know. Most victims of abuse don't really say anything, or they make excuses for their partner, like, oh no, like I did this to provoke him or something. Most times, like he said, you don't find out until it's too late. And relating it back to when you were talking about the R.Kelly victims and how a lot of people had opinions, one of R.Kelly's victims said it herself. The type of girls that he preyed on were already in really bad situations, whether it was broken families, they didn't have support. He preyed on those who were vulnerable, and therefore was easily able to manipulate them into basically doing whatever he wanted. And when you're already broken and confused and don't know who you are, it's much easier for someone to influence you.
Do you feel society plays a role in allowing young people, women in particular, to end up in the control of people of power? And if so, why?
Definitely, of course, society plays a role. I mean, we're living in a patriarchy. Women are often told their place, sometimes unconsciously through media, TV shows, commercials, and you don't really notice it. Like, it could be something as brief as like a cleaning commercial, and it's like, oh, all women just like keeping the house clean, and something that you wouldn't think twice about. It's like, oh, where are all the men cleaning?
I agree. Women have been definitely getting the end of the societal short stick from the beginning. When it comes to rights, when it comes to how they should conduct themselves in public, when it comes to being sexually active, when it comes to anything, anything compared where it's a woman and a man side by side, the woman is always held to like that. I guess you could say, not really higher standard, but like a higher lower standard. I guess you could say in a sense. Yeah, and it's actually the big back off what my father said. Females have to do, women have to do with being, well, black and red, women have to do with being a woman, which is already on the patriarchy level lower than a man in society standards. And then you also have to do with being African American. And a woman, period, in the corporate setting, females, period, also get the short end of the stick. So when you add an African American to the mix, now you're getting 3/5 of the short end of the stick. And I think it's due to the fact that for generations and generations, like the same generals have been being promulgated for so long. Now here we are in 2019, and females are always being put in this submissive role. And it's like, I don't think that's really fair, because females become buckets by themselves. They do it by themselves. Moms really do it by themselves a lot. So yeah, I agree. I agree. Society that definitely has played a role. And how women are, and how women end under control of power.
I was a tongue twister, oh my goodness.
So you two addressed it from a perspective of patriarchy. I want to address it from a black perspective, per se. Because again, we always say that black women, not only do they have to deal with being women, they have to deal with being black.
Sure.
And so one thing I think is prevalent in the black community, especially for African Americans, and this can maybe be attributed to the slave times, is that, often our parents teach us to be blindly obedient to authority figures as a means of staying out of trouble.
Come on now.
You know what I'm saying? And so, again, and that's something that can be attributed to slavery. The mothers, the fathers who, especially the mothers though, they didn't want their child being whipped and killed by the master, so they taught you to just shut up and take it, as a means of survival.
Right.
And again, so yes, not only the patriarchy aspect of it, but, I believe that, again, I don't know how these specific women were raised, but that's something that's common in the black community, is raising your child to blindly take orders from authority, especially white authority. Again, in regards to R.Kelly, with him being such a, because again, we have to remember who this man was to these victims. He wasn't just a man. He wasn't just a guy. He was R.Kelly. You know what I mean? Yeah, I think the best thing we can do as a society in order to make this situation, I can't say it'd be beneficial, but in order to grow from it, is to look inward and say, how did we as a society not only allow this to happen, but how can we as a society adjust our mindset so that this no longer has to happen?
Do you believe Black people, particularly Black women, are valued less significant than other ethnicities, and why do you think that is?
I feel that answer isn't even yes, it's of course.
I definitely think Black women are valued less than other ethnicities, and particularly because of their features and who they are valued, but in lighter skinned women. So Black women, of course, are valued less, but then there's also light skinned women are valued more than darker skinned women, and everybody wants to have those features. I mean, look at the media, Kim Kardashian, they want to be Black, but then they don't want to be Black.
Who do you feel was responsible for the type of man R.Kelly turned out to be as an adult in the music industry? Do you feel it was A, R.Kelly's family, which includes his parents, his siblings, and his sexually abusive sister? Do you feel it was R.Kelly himself responsible? Do you feel it was R.Kelly's team, the people around him who were allowing him to continue this cycle of abuse? Or do you feel it was the victim's fault for deciding to go and stay in the presence of R.Kelly? Or do you feel it was the fault of the parents of the victims who allow their children or enable their children in one way or another to be in R.Kelly's presence?
You're asking me who created the monster for real?
Yes.
Well, I'm a firm believer in we are all products of our social environment. If you look at the docu-series, it goes into great detail what R.Kelly been through, him and his brothers, sexually being exploited by one family member. So if I was to put blame on who created the monster, it would definitely be his family, like who he was around at a young age. They definitely molded. He was exposed to sex at a very young age, maybe like 6 or 7 years old, something like that. So when you grow up in like a sexual hyper household, and that can only create a sexual hyper man.
As far as why R.Kelly is the way he is today, I personally blame everybody except for the victims, because victims are never at fault. But he, like he was saying, he was exposed to sex at a young age, and it also has to do with allowing the behavior to continue and eventually develop into something way, way worse. His team is responsible because, they saw all of this was going on, but instead of helping these young girls or saying like, hey, that isn't right, because most times that's all it takes is for somebody to challenge an abuser for them to step down. They stay silent, which allowed him to continue his behavior and get worse over time. And the families, I feel like they share a little fault because they knew what type of person, for the most part, they knew what type of person R.Kelly was, although I cannot blame them totally because they only wanted nothing but success for their children, and nobody expects, this to happen. But at the same time, you knew the type of person he was, and, he went to trial for certain things, and you still gave him permission to be around your child, sometimes even alone.
I agree mostly with what Natalie said. Of course, they talked about the things that he experienced as a child, and so of course that will lead to a lot of his mental processes as an adult. But at the same time, I believe that you can't blame somebody for what they do unconsciously. But R.Kelly, he got to a point where he consciously knew each and everything he was doing, and you have to put some blame on him. Now, again, not saying that he just out of the blue was like, I'm gonna do this, this, and this. Again, what happened to him as a child definitely has something to do with it, and definitely is a big reason as to why he started doing that. But again, regardless of the reasons, he was consciously doing it, and so he does have to take blame for his own action. As far as his team, his team being that anybody who knew Like, without a doubt, what he was doing, whether it be his team or anybody close to him, especially those that helped him do it, because even somebody in the docu-series was somebody who helped him do it, and, you know, admitted to it. And so, you know, he also deserves blame, you know. But at the same time, so in terms of the parents, I think that's a slippery slope. I do think that there is some type of blame that has to be shared from the parents, but I think a lot of the blame they get is a lot of the blame that the Black community shares as a whole.
Today we discussed a very sensitive topic, which is the Surviving R.Kelly aftermath and our feelings towards R.Kelly as a person after seeing what he has done for so many years to these victims. And what we're doing now is having discussions like this to bring awareness to conversations that are not commonly talked about in Black homes and in society in general. So we hope that what we talked about today will help change a life, save a life, and overall just have an impact on how people are bringing up the youth in the future. Thank you. Everybody say bye. I don't know if you've seen the docu-series Surviving R.Kelly.
I have.
Okay, and they spoke about him being a victim of abuse himself, and a lot of the times they've connected people who are abusers to former abuse. Do you feel like in order to become an abuser you have to have had some sort of exposure to abuse yourself, or is that something that can just come from other types of experiences outside of abuse?
Other types of experiences.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't think that you have to have seen it or been a victim of it. I think it could have been just a makeup of who you are.